Hi everybody!
This is by no means a comprehensive review for the demo, as I merely played it to get a feeling for what the full game is going to be like. I will of course do a full review when the game does finally launch on September 19th. My review will come out as soon as I'm able to get it out, so subscribe and ring the notification bell so you won't miss it. But what do I think of the demo? Honestly, I think this review is going to mostly be my gushing about the game, since it feels like Trails is finally finding its footing with the action combat, which makes sense as this is now the fourth entry that does the hybrid combat. The previous three are the first two Daybreak games and Trails Beyond the Horizon. It's clear Falcom have learned from past mistakes made in those games, and we now have a smoother experience. I do wish targeting enemies was a little less finicky, but this is a common complaint I have with all hybrid combat games so far. It's like developers haven't figured out a way to effectively make that as smooth as targeting an enemy in either full-blown action games or a fully turn-based one, so there is at least some area for improvement. But I honestly can't fault Falcom for performance issues, or the game looking like it's running on a shoestring budget. It feels like they actually managed to make a game that looks up to modern standards. Until recently, Falcom games were not really lookers. They were merely acceptable in terms of graphical fidelity. With the new engine, however, they look like a modern title with a roughly average budget. With the first Skyrim remake though, things are looking like they actually had some money thrown at them. The animation work could still be a little bit smoother, but when you look at the cutscenes, things feel far more dynamic than they did during the Erebonian saga or during the first portion of the Calvard arc. So I can only say I'm looking forward to the remakes of 2nd and 3rd chapter, which are 100% going to happen at some point. I think we will also see remakes for the Crossbell duology, because anyone who actually uses their brain can tell Falcom is going to want to make their games feel more like each other. Because let's be real, going to the original Sky trilogy and the Crossbell duology is going to feel super jarring at this point in time, even if the games share a lot of DNA with their newer counterparts. Plus, Falcom really loves to reuse assets as often as they can, since that drastically reduces the cost for each game, along with allowing them to release games on a yearly basis. But I'm babbling. Let's discuss what else makes the Sky Remake's demo so great. It comes down to the fact it's a super beefy demo, with some people having over 10 hours in the game already, which is just incredible when you consider it hasn't been out all that long. Most demos don't give you that amount of length. I also like that grinding is going to be significantly easier, as you just need to return to town if you want to reset the enemies. This is of course a standard fare for JRPGs. However, the Sky Remake manages to make traveling between town and field so seamless, which is a great quality of life feature most developers seem to have not thought of, which I think is a little bit interesting. I also really like that a lot of the main story content is voiced. Sure, that's not a new thing, but it's clear Gung Ho actually bothered to spend a little money on the localization, rather than making the game a wall of text. This is just going to improve accessibility for a lot of newcomers, and it's welcome for us old hats as well, as it actually manages to speed up the pace of the story just a little bit. As far as gameplay though, this is easily the smoothest Trails experience I've had. I'm playing it on a base PS5, and it feels buttery with no major dips in performance. If there have been any variance in the FPS, I didn't notice it in my time with the game. The action combat, while simple, is still really fun, and it actually feels a hell of a lot better than Metaphor ReFantasios did, which is saying something as Falcom is a significantly smaller company than Atlas, and are working with a significantly smaller budget. I feel like how Trails handles hybrid combat is the way to do it, but you'll hear more on that when I pop out my review for the first Daybreak game. The turn-based stuff is where the game truly shines, as this is the most refined Falcom have ever had it. It even incorporates ideas from future entries, which makes the turn-based segments feel breezy quick. But do I have any complaints? As the 12th Doctor once said, I can complain about things. I can complain about a lot of things. But with the Remake's demo, I feel there's precious little to complain about. I mentioned one of my complaints earlier in the video, but my other major gripe is the control layout for the action combat. It's by no means bad, but it is different from how it was handled in Daybreak 1 and 2, so that little change did take me a little bit to get used to. I don't think there's any way to rebind the keys on PS5, but I imagine this is something PC players should have no issue with. For newcomers, I also don't think this will be an issue. I will also admit there is a high chance this is 100% a me problem, and that no one else will have this issue. But it's my video, so my rules regarding the complaints. So, have you played the Sky Remake's demo yet? If so, what did you think of it? Let me know in the comments. I personally think it's brilliant, and I'm eagerly anticipating the full release on September 19th. If you made it this far into the video, why not consider checking out my video, where I discuss why the Trails series is always going to be a niche franchise. But until next time, keep blazing that trail.